There, he allegedly assisted members of the Jesuit order in hiding priests who were credibly accused of child molestation. With what is said to be the connivance of then Bishop Supich, they were placed in secret at Cardinal Bea House, a Jesuit residential facility located on the campus of Gonzaga University. The blog of Michael Hoffman goes on to say, Farrakhan spoke at the Chicago church as part of a community protest against his having been banned by Facebook and Instagram. In his address at St. Sabina, Minister Farrakhan valiantly defended Jesus and the Blessed Mother Mary from the Talmudic hate speech, which is the basis of the law of Orthodox Judaism. No other national Islamic or Christian leader has been willing to sound the alarm and educate the public concerning this institutionalized, scurrilous vilification of the Messiah of Israel and his mother. Farrakhan also made reference to the Talmud's ghastly doctrine concerning sex with children. Supich said in a statement, without consulting me, Father Flager invited Minister Louis Farrakhan to speak at St. Sabina Church in response to Facebook's decision to ban him from its platforms. CNN reported that Farrakhan, quote, made several anti-Semitic statements during his speech accusing Judaism of promoting pedophilia, saying that Jews do not like him because he exposes their hatred of Jesus. He also said he had a divine mission to separate the good Jews from the satanic Jews. How is truth a statement of anti-Semitism? If the Talmud does indeed grant permission under certain circumstances for the sexual molestation of young persons, how does articulation of that fact constitute an offense against Semitic people? Is this not a salutary warning to them to defend their children against this dogma? When investigators speak of the molestation of children by Rome's Catholic clerics, are they making anti-Italian statements? How would Italians or Judaic people, or anyone for that matter, be harmed by truth which helps to shed light on the exploitation of children?
Powerful.
Very.
You know, what it suggests to me, Dr. Ava, is that there are many people, just like we run into individuals who will call themselves Christians or say that they're a part of a particular religion and don't really know what it says in their book. And so it suggests to me that, you know, when we bring out these types of writings where people are saying, oh, this is terrible, this is being said, why are you saying this?
Yes.
You know, it really, especially given the fact that the Bible was utilized to justify slavery. So, I mean, there's so many things that have been used to, you know, coming out of books of scripture to justify certain things. Why is it that we can't deal with that aspect of it in the Talmud or these other aspects of the Bible or other books of scripture that people may not be aware of? That is what I want to see them deal with. And so I'm especially interested in what the Catholic Church has to say regarding that, because of the fact that I actually wrote a 3-part series called Sins of the Father for the Final Call some years ago. Sins of the Fathers. And it really dealt with the problem here in Chicago where many young black men and women, young black boys and girls and their families were victimized by Catholic priests. And it was the same story. They were young people who were from economically challenged neighborhoods. They didn't have a lot of money, maybe not a lot of political capital and punch. Sometimes they would be forced to go to these individuals for services and, you know, giving the families money, and their mothers and fathers were very happy because they would be giving them relief for things of that nature.
From hunger and
Jordans or clothes and things like that. But unbeknownst to many, the children were being preyed upon by these Catholic priests. Some of them died before they could be brought to justice. And what he said in that there's actually, that exists as relates to kind of like a what would be called a cover-up, basically.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Where all throughout the records, Catholic priests have been moved to other locations or transferred or something of that nature when these allegations sprung up. So I'm glad that this is something that is being discussed right now, and I think Cardinal Supich is going to have a lot to talk about over the next few weeks, because I guess it just got so tough for him that he had to respond. But I don't think Father Flager cared very much, because he's clearly decided that he's going to do what he feels like God would want him to do.
That's exactly right. You know, this response in and of itself confirms the truth of what Father Flager and Minister Farrakhan were saying Thursday night at St. Sabina about the intrusiveness and the inherent injustice, the oppressiveness, this effort to keep black people in a position of being a subject people. Now, it's very interesting, Brother Shad, that the Simon Wiesenthal Center is calling on the Archdiocese of Chicago. That's where this is emanating. It's not even emanating, it's not originating with the Cardinal. He is in a position where now he has to bow down and claim, see, look at his words. He did not get my permission.
Right.
All right, so here we have the usual modus operandi, MO, where Jewish leadership leans on someone, and then they are forced to distance themselves from these allegations of anti-Semitism. And it's interesting that they're calling upon the Archdiocese to remove Father Flager. See, to me, this is the pinnacle of intrusiveness.
Right.
Now, you're Jewish, and you're telling Catholics what to do within the protocol and structure of their belief system. Can I go and tell a synagogue to remove a rabbi? I mean, are we being serious here? We better think about this, what this is manifesting. And this is what the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have suffered for more than 30 years.
Welcome to the fight, everybody.
Welcome to the fight.
But you know, also, Dr. Ava, even before Minister Farrakhan had a chance to deliver his remarks that evening, they held a press conference in front of the Illinois Holocaust Museum. And, you know, in an attempt to just kind of, it's like you haven't even heard what was going to be said yet. You don't even know what's going to be said. So you want to get up and have a press conference and talk about everything. And you don't even know what is going to be done, what is going to be said. And it's just a whole mixture. You have the Catholic Church being challenged, a Catholic priest being challenged by the Jewish leaders for letting a Muslim speak. It's amazing. Welcome to
exactly.
Welcome to 2067. We're in the future now.
Welcome to the fight.
Right, it's here. So
yeah, and see, 40 to 60 million descendants of slaves in America. This is what all of this ultimately, in my humble view, leads back to: the justification of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's call for separation. This is the penultimate of we can't get along, because we can't even respond to a blatant act of injustice. Now, there are those who I've heard say over the airwaves, since the minister's account was banned, well, Facebook is a private company and they can do business with whom they please. And the constitutional rights under the First Amendment don't apply. Well, that's wrong, number one. We'll do a legal analysis another time, maybe a little today. But see, when you look at the principles of freedom, justice, and equality, and a key part of freedom is thought, using your faculty of hearing to listen to who you think is guiding you right, or who you think facilitates what is in your best interest. That's what freedom is. See, you can't be a shadow in the closet. You know, a rodent running along the side of the walls and say to me that I can't listen to someone who has proven to give me good guidance in my life. That's what this is. It's Minister Farrakhan at the outset, but why is there such vehement opposition to him? It is because of the guidance and truth that he offers to 40 to 60 million descendants of slaves. And so what you do when you impose yourself on us like this, when you intrude in our space, St. Sabina Church is in the middle of the black community.
That's for sure.
And that's where, I mean, Auburn and Gresham, it runs, they exchange places with Inglewood. They go back and forth with who's first for the shootings.
Right.
Okay? Some of the people who would be terrified, okay, to come into that area and walk around. But you want to tell Father Flager, who has been not only a co-struggler for our freedom with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, they've been friends for decades.
Well, how often does Cardinal Supich get down to 79th and Racine?
Yeah, when was the last time Cardinal Supich?
No. Or the
that
Simon
you
Wiesenthal
visited?
Center members or whoever leads the organization here, have they ever really traveled past downtown?
It's like, how dare
going
you?
on?
How dare you?
It's really an arrogant, paternalistic
It's
attitude.
arrogant,
It's basically like,
paternalistic.
you all don't know who to listen to. Don't listen to this bad man right here. You don't have enough sense
Right.
to determine what's good and for you. We're going to tell you.
We'll tell you.
What you should listen
And we're
to.
telling you, leave this man alone. And anybody that backs him. You know, it reminds me of the scene in one of the scenes in Birth of a Nation, the story of Nat Turner, where they saw that he had taught himself to read and was reading biblical passages and was manifesting a gift. And he was told by the white plantation owner which passages of the Bible that he should read to the slaves, and then to make the connection with justifying us being held in bondage. That's the same thing. Farrakhan is not giving you our interpretation of Scripture. And therefore, we're going to ban him. We're going to make sure he can't talk to you.
Well, Dr. Avery, you know, we've already, the first half an hour
Oh,
is
my
gone.
goodness.
We have already, before we even getting out the number, there's people on the line calling. So
Okay.
you want to try to take one?
Try to
and
get
go?
somebody before the break. Yes,
All right,
let's
we'll go to
do that.
line one and take Jim. You're on Elevated Places with Dr. Ava Muhammad.
We're, that's the truth. Mm. Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
Well, so
No,
that wasn't necessarily what I expected to come from Jim, but I actually happen to agree with
I
most
do
of what
too.
he said as far as that was concerned. But I mean, but he also points to an issue where, again, when it comes to free speech, they still, freedom of speech, just watch what you say. That's really what it is. They really don't believe that you should have freedom of speech. And I think really it's clear. Minister Farrakhan has been banned from now Twitter and Instagram. I mean, Facebook. They de-verified his Twitter account. That's the first thing he did. That was months ago. De-verified.
And explain what that means.
Well, when
for
you
our
have, there are people who are on the internet. If you have a check mark, it's like it's an official. It's like you're sanctioned. Your views, you're sanctioned. You're official. It's like you are many people look at that to see that you're a credible source for information and data. So when they take that away, it's supposed to have some sort of an effect. He continued to grow his Twitter following despite that, because of the diligent fingers and tech knowledge of the young people, largely who are part of the Farrakhan Twitter army. But it hasn't stopped. And then you also have, of course, an effective ban on him in the United Kingdom.
Right.
In many of the prisons, you aren't allowed to receive the Final Call newspaper. That's been banned. In the Final Call, so they can't send his videos and some of his lectures to these institutions. And so what you have is a continuation, and despite whatever happens, though, the word continues to spread. And I think that that's something that they haven't calculated, nor have they considered. And it's something that we're going to have to continue to see how it plays out. I think you and I know how it's going to play out.
Yes, we do.
But I think that when you see this type of an outward manifestation and heavy-handed tactics saying, no, we just don't want you to hear anything that's being said, I think you know what's coming. Again, also with the books, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, the 3-volume set, plus Jews Selling Blacks. Amazon chose not to sell them and stopped selling them. There are other places where you can get them, but through Amazon, they're not available. And of course, the person who wrote the letter asking them about that was none other than Congressman Keith Ellison, who actually wrote to them and asked them about those books and really started it going. So these are the types of things that we're going to be dealing with on a regular basis, and it's on a high level right now, and it's going to come to each and every one of our lives who want to stand on the side of truth and speak it when it calls, or when the time comes.
And it's interesting that even, we're going to go to a break. I was going to mention Donald Trump's comment on this ban.
Oh, yeah.
Though he mentioned no names.
Right.
But we got word from our technical producer. What we're going to do is take a quick break. We want you to stay with us, and we'll get to all our callers. We will be right back.